Bizak with NFG Podcast with Jay the Usual. It's Jay the Usual with NFG Podcast here live fireside. That's right. That's why I see the flickering dramatic light on my face. I know it's a wondrous thing to see my face in general, but make sure to share, like, and comment. The more we grow, the more we show, the more you view, the more we do. We're not just having fun today. We're talking about something that may be the most serious thing we've ever talked about. I think it probably will be either way. I leave that to the people that view this to decide. So, Comet 31A is headed towards our planet, and it's on a very strange trajectory. This comet is from a very strange place. It may be made out of very strange things, and I can't verify this last part. But there are going to be claims made. Well, this part I can actually verify 100%. There are going to be claims within the next few days, if you haven't seen them already, that there are living beings on this object, this comet, whatever they're going to call it, a mothership. Some people are going to claim it's a part of a planet that's been destroyed and is, from what people can tell, from that it looks like it came from some direction towards the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And as you get closer to the supermassive black hole that sits within the Milky Way galaxy, time gets distorted. And depending on how far this thing was in the Milky Way, towards the center, is close to the supermassive black hole, this thing may have been around for longer than even people may be even capable of understanding. It's been claimed that it may be a solid object of up to 20 kilometers in diameter, which is, I believe, 44 miles for those of you that live in the States. But there's a few researchers and claims that have come out recently that say that the size is more close to 10 to 13 meters, kilometers across, with a large what they call a coma around it. Basically, what makes a comet is if it has a tail, and excuse me, that would become more pronounced as it gets closer to the sun. But even at that size, if it were to do any number of things such as hit a moon, rip apart because of the gravity of a moon or a planet that it goes near, pinball because of the gravity well of another planet, which it's very interesting how safely nestled this object's trajectory seems to be, right in between all the places that it could do some really weird things. And it's presumed at minimum. I don't want to even say presumed, because I believe they already have this mapped out and everything, and they use every manner of research and AI that you could possibly come up with, and satellite trajectory and all this stuff, telescopic stuff. JWST is getting pointed at this thing relatively soon too, so all the best is being used to figure this out. Basically, they think at minimum there will be a extreme meteor shower on at least two planets, Venus and either Mars or Jupiter, and we will be able to actually actively record this with our satellites that we already have there. So we're talking about footage of something that is not only extremely rare and scientifically valuable, but it's something that the public will actively be able to be involved in, because it won't necessarily be visible to the eye for everybody, but everybody will be talking about this for months, because it will be being researched by everybody that is interested vaguely at all in space or the new economy that's going to be based on it, that everybody rich and powerful is talking about, which ties, of course, directly into the AI that we're all being told is going to give us, all the answers to our problems in life, and yet hasn't yet. And a lot of people don't realize that we're actually being drip fed this AI stuff. It's, of course, being curtailed as a mode of control for the moment, but it's been said that they want to use it to do a bunch of different things, like create people that are fused with AI in this Neuralink fashion, but in a way that you don't have to have it surgically implanted into you. You could just, like, a wearable, as Mr. RFK likes to call them. And all that could be hacked and controlled through satellite systems that they're already working on connecting from Earth to the Moon to Mars. So, of course, Jeff Bezos and all these other people like Virgin Mobile and stuff actively have things with people. Got a few free tickets every once in a while to get people. But really, it's something that could help out a bunch of people on the planet that we have problems with now, and instead it seems like they just want to, make more and more out there that people down here can't really afford. For instance, water has been found to be pretty prevalent among asteroids in the asteroids, actually various asteroid belts around the solar system. Some of which could be redirected towards Earth and used to make it so that we never run out of fresh water ever again, no matter how stupid we get. So, and even, of course, the mineral wealth and all those other different things that you could do with that. You can actually build spaceships out in space now. And they're already doing that. There's a bunch of different things we're going to be talking about over the next few months, and I believe this event will get out of reach of all to most major telescopes by November to December. So we really literally have the entire year to talk about this and anything that relates to it. Hello, everybody that's watching. Excuse me. You'll have to excuse me. This is a gigantic, major event that we're talking about, and I'm actively fighting shadow banning, zero fundraising, and at the same time, everybody else is dealing with a bunch of issues, so we're dealing with psychoticness across the board. But we do have a few things that are happening decently. I just maybe found some sources of funding. And we will have, of course, all of our services are still available and active. I still do all the drone photography and videography, documentation, documentarian work, shoot films, produce all that stuff. But this whole supernatural mini-series that I wanted to work on that relates to alien bases using a form of electronic defense system that, once activated, and I don't know how this would work exactly, and it may just be human military tech, but it actually makes you hallucinate. All those people that were reporting seeing werewolves, and the strange one is the shared hallucinations. The only thing that kind of matches that are these 3D holograms that they can create with a mist now. You can have like a regular sort of fog machine, and then use I think it's like they have to have 16 different pointed lasers or some crazy ass shit, which you could kind of maybe get away with mini drones doing to create an illusion like that, or maybe just a projector or two. I have seen some stranger ones that do come from one or two sources of light that you can actively touch. That one I don't even understand. But I guess you can smell them, and I think it might have been wired. If you want to look that up on YouTube or wherever, you're already on here, so I figured you could check there first. But another interesting topic that we've been talking about with this Comet 31A is that it could be hiding within or behind this comet. And we've been talking about dark comets, like the object I tried to record, and it didn't show up on the camera, but it did show up to the eye that looked like a literal planet moving closer to the Earth than would ever be comfortable for anybody to see. And what I've seen a lot in literature lately too is, along with the level of a civilization using a Dyson sphere, they could also use asteroids as a means of transportation, and also as a shield, and as a way to hide, and as a weapon. Basically, you could just throw an asteroid at a planet from a very far distance, protect yourself by, you can't even see who the hell's doing it or how or even why, and all of a sudden you just get whammed. They could hit a specific spot and do specific types of damage in order to utilize whatever wealth they find on the planet. It's a bunch of different, things like that. But we have to keep in mind, at the same time, there's an economy of humans based solely on the idea that they not only have these transhumanists that literally treat certain AI as gods, but they want to escape Earth and create other planets in their images with our wealth. They're not using asteroids to do this. They're just doing it with our stuff. So I find it strange that people are very comfortable with that. I am interested to see how people do feel. When I ask people in public, they get very, they don't like it, but they don't want to talk about it in public. NFG has had a very tough time as a free speech podcast. I literally have entire studios, several studios, dead empty for years now. Literally years. And you could literally talk about anything you want on my show. Anything. Nobody. Like, I would say there's been a handful of people over the past 5 years, and then the 3 years before that, it was relatively active where people were coming in all the time. We were getting a lot of views and all that fun stuff, which is why I'm doing this on Facebook first. Well, I did, and then all of a sudden the slow connection thing came up, which is, it makes zero sense. I'm looking at all the bandwidth feeds and all that, but this happens frequently. But like in Skinwalker Ranch and these other places that we'll be researching actually and visiting ourselves over the next few weeks, there tends to happen when you get too close to locations where supernatural things tend to be seen or found, up to and including the UFO stuff, the werewolf, vampire stuff. I say that specifically because it's like the most ridiculous. Like I saw a freaking werewolf, and like, oh, you mean like something that looked like a bear? And it's like, no, dude, no. I saw like a man, but like a werewolf, but like it was in a movie. Like the way they describe it is hilarious as hell, but at the same time, it's scary as shit, and it makes me think specifically. It's like if they can telepathically communicate with these people, or at least that's how they describe it, right? Who's to say that that's not some sort of defense system to like scare you the hell away and make you go, what the hell is this shit? It's messing with my mind. You start seeing the scariest thing that your mind can possibly like conjure, you know what I mean? So that's the first thing you see. Like I saw a freaking werewolf. I'm never going back there again. And I think that could actually be with UFOs and shit too, but it doesn't have to be an alien that's doing that. There are human technologies that you'll be able to look up right now. This is going to be why you're going to learn to like the show. Everything I mentioned, if you look it up, you will find out instantaneously that it's real. I've yet to be proven wrong on, I think, anything. Yeah. And anything that was even like remotely questionable, I went back and addressed. So we've never been like banned or anything. It's pretty cool. Kind of sucks though, because then we get shadow banned instead, and that'll really mess with your head. But yeah, they have technology now where you can have your own. They can basically point a gun at you, okay? But the gun voice saying the worst things to you possibly. I can't believe I'm even saying this shit because it is real, but it's terrifying. Change your emotions on a dime, just with a light. I can't make this shit up. I couldn't even like sit there and be like, oh, I'm gonna write a book about a light that changes people's emotions. What the hell kind of crazy ass shit is that? Who's sitting there in college like, oh, I gotta come up with this shit now? I don't know, man. And it upsets the shit out of me that people think it's okay to use taxpayer dollars to pay for this sort of crap, and then sit there and be like, oh, it's aliens. Fuck you. Because then probably the aliens are like actually trying to warn us and shit. Like, hey, dude, your people are doing some pretty fucked up shit. Like, you know about that? And the really messed up part, and I like that people mention America and the United States a lot, especially in my channel, oddly. They've done that shit in mainly other countries. Like, they've done it here a lot too, like way more than I would ever think. But like, obviously, other countries experiment a lot on their own people too. But it's odd how calm they are about like just being everywhere, just doing like really sick shit, and a lot of people know about it and just don't really fucking care. I don't know, man. I guess it's because if you do enough bad shit to people, like eventually they get used to it like anything else, but it's pretty sick to me. Then having to explain the crap, having it chase me as I'm trying to film it, that's been a fun experience. So if anybody has any questions about this stuff while we're touching on this subject, make sure to drop it in the comments below. Like I said, share this as widely as possible. That way we can get the conversation roiling. Not that I won't be doing that myself. I'll be sharing this to roughly 1 million people every day actively until we start getting some answers. I'm actually sending out some emails to some of those researchers, which will be sharing those videos tomorrow, along with the new updated podcast in the studio, where we'll be playing videos not only from the researchers but also footage of UFO stuff that both that we filmed and ones that we find credible. And I'll tell you right now, it's definitely not most of the crap you see online nowadays or on. I don't even know if they really play UFO stuff too much on TV besides the news, like cable, for instance. But yeah, so Oumuamua, that's that crazy media that people were talking about was like shaped like a. First they said it was shaped like a disc, then they said it was shaped like a pipe, and then it flew out of the solar system faster than it came in, which isn't normal for something that would be labeled a regular comet. It would be what they call a dark comet, which has no tail. Then you have this other object that comes in, and they say that it's the third object that's an interstellar object that's come in to the solar system, and I'm wondering which one would be the second then, and where the second landing site would be, because I know that they only went to the one for, I think, oh wait, no, okay, so the second one would be the one that landed in the ocean. Alright. I forget the name of that one. So this is the third interstellar object that they've even been able to track with, I think it's a new radar system, probably Aegis. And that in and of itself makes this interesting. And actually, I've already seen a few UFO when I come out here. I think I'm looking at one again right now, but this one's really weird. It might be a jet and it might be a drone, because we're right in the middle of a flight path, and it's kind of following that direction, but I don't see any FAA blinkers yet. But we've been getting a lot of really weird objects around here. This is a strange one. Hold on. Make sure I'm not seeing any blinkers before I start recording this shit like an idiot. There we go. Alright, let's turn this around. And as soon as I pointed at it, it kind of changed directions a little bit. I don't know why it's not letting me zoom all the way. You guys are seeing this, right? It's like trippy. What the hell? That could very well be a drone. I don't know, though. It's kind of changing brightness and not blinking, though. That's different. This is another one with the red coloration. I actually had a few that were around that were blue. I think I just saw a blinker on it. A lot of people that fly drones newly also don't know that they need to have that sort of thing on, especially at night. No, I think this is Starlink, though. Because they have new... it's changing direction a lot, too. That might be a drone. I don't know. There's so many different things like this that you see now. There were some light blue ones that passed by earlier. And this is definitely all the time. And I find it funny that YouTube doesn't find it pertinent to share a YouTube video of an actual live UFO. Oh, there's the see the light? There it is. That's a plane. Okay. Thank God we got that out of the way. See, and that's why you end up having problems with misidentification, because they don't record these objects long enough. That's why you see short clipped videos being shared often and then being debunked by flight radar checks. If they record them long enough, you'd see that the wings are at an angle where you can't see the lights, and then once it finally starts to turn a little bit, you're able to see those indicators. But what's strange about that is you should be able to see those blinkers no matter what direction that plane is facing, and I'm sure it's huge. Being at that height, you would think that would be something they'd want to make sure of, but at the same time, there are a lot of things about the FAA that it's really weird, that they just kind of allow drones to just fly through restricted airspaces, because from what I get told, actively get fined upwards of $5,000 to $50,000 in one single shot, and then maybe even arrested for a year and put in jail. So I find it really strange when they went on the news and just said, "Oh, they just let people just do this shit, and it's just amazing. They're not supposed to, but it's just willy nilly out there. My goodness gracious!" It's And then they arrest somebody, and they like, "Oh, the Chinese national that they got flying this drone next to this airport, they arrested for espionage, and his friend was running a Chinese sheriff's office in the middle of New York City." Like, both the reports do not fit. Sorry. That scared the shit out of me. There's a cushion right next to me and it fell on the ground. And I let the dog inside a while ago, so. Yeah. So tomorrow, we're going to be sharing everything from the telemetry of Comet 31A to all the videos that describe how it could be the process of an invasion, and then I'll also be sharing the source that said that they have a source that claims that Project Bluebeam will be wrapped around an event like this, where they tell you that it is an invasion and they start implementing total world control. From what I understand, they've been possibly tracking this thing a long time, or it may not even be real at all. And they're using AI to hack the systems that connect all the researchers' data together, and using AI to trick them into thinking that there's an invasion coming. And the funny thing is, I kind of hope that they do. I honestly don't need anybody getting terrified about that stuff, because it was bad enough during the pandemic. It was bad enough during the lockdowns. It was bad enough when they started talking about shooting off nukes again and all that other crap. Now it's like it's a little bit calmer because almost nobody's listening. And the people that are the ones that already kind of know what's going on, so I'm not too concerned on that front anymore. Mainly what I'm concerned with is leaving some form of packet of education if I am to all of a sudden just keel over or disappear or some shit, to let people know, like, hey, listen, this is what could go wrong if we just give all the nukes to AI, or just let some alien hide behind a comet and drop down, because nobody wants to believe that a ship could be shaped like a Tic Tac and still fly. It's like, we got blimps. I don't know what to tell you. And don't let me have to explain to you what aerogel can do in a blimp, because there's a lot of stuff. But I enjoy talking a lot about new science anyway. I like teaching people, so this should be a fun experience. We're actually going to be doing live recordings with better cameras while we do some of this research, and I will be inviting people. There's no guarantee that anyone's going to show up, because it's all very scary stuff. Even though it's really usually pretty mundane, I'm just sitting here by a fire or by a camera and just recording things and talking. Just that in and of itself nowadays can scare the ever-living hell out of everybody. So, yeah. That being said, we're about halfway through, so make sure to share, like, and comment. The more we grow, the more we show, the more we view, the more we do. So now I'm going to show you our camera system that we're using tonight, because so I'm going to see we got the fire going there. And I'll walk you over here. Got the Sony, which is turned off now, which is not supposed to happen, but it does. Especially when weird shit like what you saw before on the phone happens. So what you can see here is I got it to 10 frames a second. I had to speed it up to 30 with the 24 millimeter frame, just because I can't get enough ISO out of it. This is Sony A7 III. Unfortunately, I'm in the inner city and pretty much stuck here for a short while longer. Oh, it's like a weird band of light. It's coming from the street. I didn't realize that. The smoke is kind of showing it. Look. See, I can see the smoke there, but not there or there. It might just be that the houses are funneling it a little bit more too, so it's like, these are things that you got to consider as a photographer, and I do teach Live. Oh, thanks. I thought I was live the whole time. But yeah, so I am actively collecting and coalescing information, and of course, I appreciate people that find any information that is valuable, or find the researchers that are capable of finding that sort of stuff and are reporting it and sharing it with me. That way I can turn around and share it with everybody else in a way that people can understand. And don't be afraid of sending me something that's overly complicated or something like that. I've had people that work with, I think it was SpaceX, but I don't know because they didn't want to give me their credentials, because they were afraid I was going to go public with what they were showing and telling me. They have some form of inertial control system that it kind of acts like a gyroscope and keeps the rocket balanced, especially when they're doing that landing thing. And it somehow works with mercury, that spins in a centrifugal system. And I was talking about how this like cascading electron system would work theoretically, and it was in like a forum, and then this person ended up sharing a whole bunch of schematics with me about how toroidal systems work in I think it was a generic sort of systematic like platform that they were trying to share from, in order to see if I could actually see like, oh, they're just showing me something that's kind of like base level for that sort of intelligence. And then I kind of got wary because I'm like, why isn't this person identifying themselves, but they got this sort of crap on hand? You know what I mean? And that happens a lot. In fact, it was somebody that was getting basically spoofed by the CIA that does what I do. They're just like a media creator, and they, follow UFOs because there's basically nothing else to do during the pandemic and lockdown. And then they started sending him a whole bunch of crazy shit, but then they started making like a bunch of like really hardcore claims, getting pissed off when he wanted more information and stuff. And I didn't really report on that, but I think I will now, because the CIA is getting to be a really big pain in my ass. And I think everybody else is too, but they don't realize it. Every major podcast, and I mean every major podcast, has, for some reason, for some unbeknownst reason, I wonder what it could be, a shit ton of guests from the CIA that claim they're retired but seem to be a tad young. They seem to be very friendly with those particular podcast hosts, and they seem to drive other guests to those shows afterwards once they do become guests and friends, and then they become regulars. It's really odd how regular that is, and then they end up with their own channels as well and their own businesses that feed off of that. It's really odd how coincidental that is. And then, of course, when I start talking about these things, we end up with zero views. There was a few people there in the beginning. I appreciate them. They probably were not real people, though. Sylvia Bustamante. I know that name. Not Sylvia, per se, but Bustamante, I do. That's one of the people that's in the comment list right now. And Bustamante is one of those CIA people I was talking about. Isn't that interesting? I forget his first name, though. But it's funny, he kind of looks like one of the gray aliens, in the respect that he has this gigantic hairdo. At least he did at the time. I don't know if he still does. He should keep it. It looks amazing. But I wish I still had my golden locks. But, this isn't just about thinning hair and jealousy. It's about an aliens, per se. And the CIA. It's about everybody, especially when you have an object that, even at its most boring, comes from a place in the galaxy that we will not reach, even with the best technology that we have now. We will not reach for millennia. We have an object that's literally coming towards us right now that we're, even with my telescope that we're going to be using, and I'm going to be doing it live, we're going to be looking right at this thing, which is wild. That in and of itself should be worth a share, should be worth a like, a comment, anything. Even if it's just to have the conversation of like, what the hell are we looking at here? Like, dude, something from the freaking center of the Milky Way, bro. What the hell? And who the hell knows where it came from before that? The Big Bang? I mean, is this a piece of it? Who the hell knows? And then this ties to a lot of prophecy stuff. Now we're gonna get into the next part of this. It's gonna get a little more of that supernatural stuff than I normally like to get. But I told you everything's to do with this, so. So when I saw this fire moon thing, right? This thing that it appeared to break through the sky, and where it was breaking through the sky is the only way I can describe it. The night sky above an open ocean. It appeared to be blue and green flames, not like an aurora, because I've actually filmed that. I've seen it with my eyes and everything. It didn't look like that. What it looked like was a solid object at first, like a moon, but 20 times, at least 20 times, maybe 30 times bigger than that. It went from the bottom of the horizon all the way to almost like where the top of where you could see before you start looking straight up. Okay. It appeared as if it was invisible at first, and then translucent, and then you could see what looked like a moon with craters on it. Like you could see the solid shapes. But then this blue-green flame started like appearing around it as it went from right to left. So it wasn't just like it just like appeared there, because there's a lot of times like you'll see aurora and like it appears and then like whiplashes all around and stuff like that, but a lot of that you usually only see on camera. Sometimes you do see it with your eyes, but it's extremely rare for the area that we're in Massachusetts, but it is possible, don't get me wrong, but was odd because it was multi-layered, as in like the blue-green flames moving, but the solid object underneath was not changing as it was moving. And it was only for like 3 to 5 seconds, but it was such a strange thing that it felt like a minute or two. And I had a camera pointed directly at it. Now, I don't know what the camera settings were. It was a GoPro 8, so it wasn't meant to record that sort of stuff. But I had recorded asteroids and meteors, and this object was much larger and brighter than that. So how the hell the camera was pointed directly in that direction and didn't capture it, I don't know. I'll never understand that. But after that, things got really weird. And I started thinking, was that thing even really in the sky? And I'm not thinking that I was like hallucinating it or high or anything like that. It was actually a really weird night where like I wasn't, at the time I was regularly drinking and smoking cannabis and all that stuff. But this particular night I hadn't. I think maybe I was sick or something, and actually I just gotten better and somebody brought me out. But to see something like that, and then everything else that happened afterwards, where I'm trying to take pictures and do documentaries for fishermen, and regularly above people that were on shore and on boats. That's all I kept capturing, even in broad daylight, especially in broad daylight, which is strange. Floating Tic Tacs, and they would split in half and then come back together in video, in photos, and then strange things would happen to those people. Flying discs that were, some were silver, some were golden, captured on camera, multiple witnesses. I still have the footage of, I think, like 90% of this stuff. One of the things with the Tic Tac splitting in half and then coming back together and just being like nearly over somebody's head was so fucking freaky. That was the only one I think I have ever done this with. I can't. Never had the stream drop out on YouTube ever. This is a wild. This is what I'm saying, man. Every time I talk about this stuff, something happens. The only way to avoid it is to get the message out through real world pretty soon, because I've tried to get it through bigger names and they won't touch it. I don't know. And then of course I got to be concerned with, well, all these things abducted me, and every time I try to tell people about this shit, they're just deleting all of the digital stuff to make me look fucking crazy, you know? There's a lot of bad shit going on, man. And like I said, it doesn't have to be no aliens. It could just be AI used by evil humans. It's capable of more than any human being. So, I don't know. I'm so surprised that people just feel fucking safe and okay with this shit. Because most of them tell me they're like too scared to do anything. But it's like, once you reach that level, don't you think that's the time to start doing something about it? I don't know. Too many people seem like so chill. They're just like, man, if it's the fucking end, bro, just let it be. It's like, dude, it's like no one's saying that. Everyone's trying to tell you that if these things, whatever the hell, AI or aliens or whatever, evil people end up taking over and doing whatever the hell they want. What the hell are we gonna do if they don't just kill us instantaneously and just enslave the shit out of us, make us do terrible things to each other? Does anybody even like comprehend that shit? As soon as you start bringing that up, you get attitude from people. I've never been taught that in my life. That if you start actually just telling people, listen, something terrible is definitely gonna happen if you keep just like keep walking that way and you're gonna jump off a cliff. I've never seen people get mad and go fuck you and just start jumping like a motherfucker. Like it's pretty weird. I hate that. I hate that. Like I don't know that all of this started basically around something terrifying that I wasn't looking for. I just wanted to film a meteor shower, and now almost 10 years later, I'm tracking a meteor shower that could be the greatest to ever hit every planet in the solar system. It's possible that every planet it comes in contact with, it could break off pieces, and it's right within the bounds. I've already done the math with AI up to I've used Grok, Chat GPT, and I think Microsoft Copilot as well. I'm asking people to cross-reference this stuff with me. We got NASA tracking this. JWST is going to be pointed directly at this object on the 25th, and I believe it's within a few hours, or maybe it's instantaneous. They're going to publicize all the information so that way anybody that's involved across the entire time and make judgment calls right away. It was an early warning system that picked this up, so I mean, the people that would normally have to keep track of this sort of stuff are involved, but supposedly it's moving so fast and it's already so close that even if it's just a comet, if it's on a really crappy trajectory and it might start breaking up, they really can't do too much to redirect it, according to what we've seen. Now, it one to suspect that over the past few years, those experiments with redirecting asteroids with missiles had to do with this, and we're also looking at solar maximum being affected by this dust cloud that we're passing through, which sits in a regular position in the Milky Way disk as well. Wow, that one's really, really low. Then you had this drone incursion over the past really over the past year, realistically. All this stuff is too perfectly timed, I think. And, with things like the Chelyabinsk event and asteroids that actually slam into the Earth to cause destruction, you could just have a bunch of tiny ones cause air bursts and literally just wreak havoc across the entire planet. And it wouldn't even have to happen all at once either, and it kind of explains why you see a bunch of rich people and influential people buying and building bunkers, but yet they claim that it's not because of war. But they don't really talk about space too much, except for when it's involving escaping the planet. So, and then of course, like I said, I get blocked pretty actively, so it really concerns me that no one's been able to prove me wrong, because if I'm right about any of shit, it is not a good thing to grow up in the world that's to come, unless you can somehow weasel your way into fucking maybe I should start fucking old ladies in Newport, you know what I mean? Like just dicking them down. That way, like, they could just, like, oh, here's the bunker, lad. And just, you can dick me down forever, Fucking, like, that's the sort of shit I've been thinking about. There's a lot of jet traffic today. But there's a lot of Starlink up there, too. I know specifically that there's a lot of Starlink, specifically the 10,000 and 30,000 set. Use Stellar, I forget the name of the app offhand, Stellarium. So you can use that and reference the information that I garner off that as well. I also use it to plan some of my astrophotography photo shoots. But basically what I'm going to do is sit here by the fire for alright, UFOs, or whatever, take it easy. I will have all those new podcasts up tomorrow. Informed is eventually transfer everything to just our own website, an actual goal, so we're not locked and we can actually start getting the word out. Even doing it locally, even just telling like people that is like, oh, you should check this out. He's talking about subject, and it doesn't have to be me specifically. Just the subject itself is remarkable. So yeah, pray it's nothing terrible. There are invasions, even in the Indian. Keep getting cooked. This is here with electronics, so I have to keep an eye on the camera. I am recording for the media shower too, so if there's any footage, well, there will be footage, but wild footage, we'll make sure to pinpoint that as well. Otherwise, you'll get a time lapse along with all the other stuff. And that is the 18th. 5th is when the James telescope will be pointed at this 31A comet, so we'll be able to figure out there too how large this object is, what it's made out of. I don't think we'll see what's behind it, if there is anything, which I remember there is. And like I said, there will be people that will be claiming that this is an active invasion, an active alien invasion, and I'm talking about even in major government. They will be claiming that they have evidence of this. They will be faking evidence of this. This is the claim that I've heard. So just watch out for all that, and try to find actual proof of something before you start telling people to believe that something terrifying is happening, because that's how people gain control, is scaring the shit out of you, and then oh yeah, here's a safe way, and then you run the cliff that we were talking about before. Like that shit. Let's all be very careful and keep an eye on the skies, and we'll see what happens. Like I said, at minimum, this could be the greatest Skywatcher event of all time, or could be the end of the world. Could be World War III, a fight over space resources. We're actually capable of building things that can either spin, and we're still upgrading. We can change the climate locally, which we already knew. That's been proven by every major oil company that ever existed. They had to, in order to protect themselves from damages. And it's funny, like barely any of this stuff, like it's mentioned publicly once or twice, and then no one ends up giving a shit. Like, what the hell is going on around? I'm starting to question what people value anymore. But people are so scared, like I said, that they're all twisted up, and then they get all the AI makes you view shit that melts your mind. So I'm here to try to beef it up a little bit with some real info, and we'll be right back if I don't get abducted and probed or whatever the hell's coming next. All right, we'll be right back. Remember, 31A. This will be all year long NFG podcast with Jay the Usual. Jay the Usual Multimedia. Out for now.